Have you ever looked in the mirror and asked yourself, am I living the life I was meant to live? Most of us go through life on autopilot, moving from one day to the next, weighed down by habits, fears, and the expectations of others. We complain about what's missing, blame circumstances we cannot control, and hope that somehow, someday, life will be different. But here's the truth: the life you want, the version of yourself you dream of becoming, is not going to arrive by chance. It is waiting for you to take the first step. Rebuilding yourself is not about waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect conditions. It is about standing up, looking at yourself honestly, and deciding that you will not settle for less than your potential. It is about shaking off the old beliefs that hold you back, shedding the habits that no longer serve you, and surrounding yourself with influences that lift you higher. Tonight, I want to take you on a journey of transformation, of growth, and of rediscovering the power you have always carried within you. Before you can rebuild yourself, you must first truly know yourself. This may sound simple, but it is perhaps the most overlooked step in personal transformation. Self-awareness is more than just knowing your name, your job, or your daily habits. It is about standing in front of a mirror, not just a physical one, but the mirror of your mind and soul, and observing yourself with complete honesty. It is the courage to confront your strengths and acknowledge your weaknesses, your victories and your failures without excuses or blame. Many people wander through life wearing masks, smiles that hide fear, confidence that mask insecurity, and routines that hide dissatisfaction. The process of rebuilding begins when those masks come off and you are willing to see yourself as you truly are. Self-awareness allows you to answer questions that most people avoid. What patterns are keeping me stuck? What decisions have I made repeatedly that have not served me well? Where have I compromised my values for convenience or comfort? By asking these questions, you begin to map the blueprint of your current life, understanding where the cracks are and where the foundation is strong. Without this understanding, any attempt to rebuild is like constructing a house without knowing if the ground beneath it can support it. You must know the terrain of your own mind, the strengths to reinforce, and the weaknesses to repair. This process also means recognizing the emotional forces that shape your behavior. How often have you acted out of fear rather than conviction? How often have you avoided opportunities because of doubt or the opinion of others? By observing your emotions without judgment, you gain insight into the invisible forces that influence your life. Awareness does not condemn, it illuminates. It allows you to see where your habits, thoughts, and reactions align with your true goals and where they contradict them. For example, if you constantly complain about your circumstances but fail to take action, self-awareness is the key to seeing that the power to change has always been in your hands. Understanding yourself also means knowing your values and priorities. Many people rebuild outward aspects of life, jobs, relationships, lifestyles, without understanding what they truly value. Self-awareness forces you to ask, what matters to me most? Am I living in alignment with those values, or am I drifting according to the expectations of others? When you reconnect with your true priorities, decisions become clearer, and the energy spent on meaningless pursuits diminishes. This clarity of purpose is essential for a rebuild because it ensures that every effort you make is intentional and aligned with the person you want to become. Self-awareness is not static, it is a continuous process. Life changes, and so do you. Therefore, rebuilding yourself requires ongoing reflection. Journaling, meditation, or simply quiet moments of contemplation can serve as tools to check in with yourself regularly. By keeping track of your thoughts, emotions, and actions, you create a record that allows you to see patterns over time. This feedback loop is invaluable because it transforms vague feelings of dissatisfaction into specific areas of focus for growth. One of the most powerful aspects of self-awareness is its ability to illuminate your potential. When you know your capabilities, you recognize the untapped resources within yourself, the talents, resilience, and creativity that have always existed but were clouded by distraction, doubt, or neglect. It is in this recognition that hope and motivation are born. You realize that rebuilding is not about becoming someone entirely new, but about revealing the best version of who you already are. Each insight gained from self-awareness becomes a tool for constructing a stronger, more intentional life. Ultimately, self-awareness is the foundation of every personal transformation. It is the moment when excuses fall away, when clarity replaces confusion, and when the path forward begins to take shape. Without it, attempts to rebuild yourself may be scattered, superficial, or unsustainable. But with self-awareness, you see clearly where change is needed, where energy should be focused, and what steps will truly move you toward growth. It is the starting point, the compass, and the mirror all in one, guiding you toward the life you are capable of creating. Taking full responsibility for your life is a principle that separates those who live in reaction from those who live with purpose. It is easy to blame circumstances, luck, or other people for where you find yourself. It is easy to point to the economy, your upbringing, or a missed opportunity as reasons for why life hasn't turned out the way you hoped. Yet, the moment you shift your focus from blame to ownership, something extraordinary begins to happen. You reclaim your power. Responsibility is not about self-recrimination. It is about understanding that your choices, actions, and attitudes are the architects of your present and future. When you fully embrace this idea, you stop being a victim of life and start being the creator of your destiny. Responsibility begins with honest reflection. It requires looking at your life without excuses and asking yourself, how have my decisions contributed to where I am today? This isn't easy because it forces you to confront uncomfortable truths. Maybe you procrastinated when you should have acted. Maybe you avoided challenges because they seemed too difficult. Perhaps you allowed fear to dictate your choices, or you failed to invest in yourself the way you promised you would. These realizations can sting, but they are necessary. Growth cannot occur without clarity, and clarity cannot come without ownership. Once you see the role your actions or inactions have played, you open the door to transformation. Taking full responsibility also means recognizing that no one owes you anything. Life does not operate on fairness or entitlement. It operates on cause and effect. Complaining about what you haven't received or dwelling on the advantages of others only wastes energy and slows progress. The person who takes responsibility understands that complaining changes nothing, but action changes everything. They focus on what they can control: their effort, attitude, decisions, and habits. By shifting attention to what is within your power, you gain momentum instead of frustration, progress instead of stagnation. This mindset transforms obstacles into opportunities because it makes you accountable to yourself rather than to circumstances. Owning your life also requires rejecting the notion of blame in relationships and interactions. Many people sabotage their growth by projecting responsibility onto others, anger at a boss, resentment toward a friend, or disappointment in family members. While it is natural to feel hurt or frustrated, continuing to blame others is a way of relinquishing control over your life. True responsibility is accepting that you cannot control what others do, but you can control how you respond. You can choose patience, understanding, or detachment. You can choose to improve your skills, to learn, or to adapt. By taking responsibility for your reactions, you transform every interaction into a chance for growth rather than a source of frustration. Another aspect of responsibility is the acceptance of past mistakes as lessons rather than burdens. Every error, failure, or wrong decision is an opportunity to learn and recalibrate. Those who avoid responsibility often dwell on guilt, shame, or regret, but the responsible individual studies the past objectively. They identify what went wrong, why it went wrong, and what they can do differently in the future. This process is empowering because it replaces regret with strategy. It turns each misstep into a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block, reinforcing the idea that rebuilding yourself is not about perfection but about persistence and accountability. Taking responsibility also extends to your personal growth and development. No one else can read your books, cultivate your skills, or develop your discipline for you. Success in any area of life requires intentional effort. Waiting for someone to motivate you, to provide opportunities, or to solve your problems is a form of abdication. Responsibility demands that you step forward consistently, even when it's uncomfortable, uncertain, or slow. It is in these moments, when no one else is watching and when excuses are tempting, that your character is truly built. Ultimately, taking full responsibility is liberating. It may feel heavy at first because it strips away excuses and comfort, but it is in this weight that strength is forged. Responsibility is the acknowledgement that your life is the sum of your choices, and if you do not like the results, you have the power to change them. This principle transforms fear into action, blame into accountability, and frustration into purpose. By embracing responsibility, you stop waiting for life to happen to you and start making life happen for you, creating a foundation strong enough to rebuild yourself into the person you are capable of becoming. One of the greatest obstacles to rebuilding yourself is the set of beliefs you hold about yourself and the world, many of which are invisible, deeply ingrained, and entirely unexamined. These are the thoughts that whisper, "I can't," "I'm not enough," or "this is just the way I am." They are the mental barriers that confine your potential, the invisible chains that prevent you from stepping into the life you are capable of living. Letting go of limiting beliefs is not a simple exercise in positive thinking. It is a disciplined, intentional process of examining your thoughts, challenging assumptions, and replacing what no longer serves you with beliefs that empower action and growth. Until this happens, rebuilding yourself is like trying to grow a tree with roots wrapped around rocks. The energy is there, but it is trapped, misdirected, and unable to reach its full height. Limiting beliefs are often inherited or absorbed from external sources early in life. They are shaped by parents, teachers, friends, society, and past experiences. Over time, these ideas can become so familiar that we mistake them for truth. You may have been told you are not smart enough, not talented enough, or not deserving of success. Perhaps repeated failures or criticisms reinforce the idea that risk is dangerous or that change is impossible. These beliefs create mental boundaries that are far more confining than any external circumstance. The first step to breaking free is recognizing that these beliefs are not facts. They are interpretations, assumptions, and habits of thought that can be questioned, revised, and replaced. To release limiting beliefs, you must begin with awareness. Start by observing your thoughts and noticing patterns of self-doubt, fear, or hesitation. Ask yourself where these beliefs came from and whether they are genuinely reflective of reality or merely inherited assumptions. Often, what we perceive as truth is actually a story we have been telling ourselves for years. Once you identify these beliefs, you can examine their impact. How have they shaped your decisions, your habits, or your relationships? How much energy have they drained from you? By bringing these beliefs into the light of consciousness, you gain the power to challenge them rather than being unconsciously ruled by them. Challenging limiting beliefs requires courage and repetition. It involves questioning the evidence behind the thought. Is this really true? What proof do I have that this belief is absolute? For example, if you believe you are not capable of learning a new skill, ask yourself if there is any concrete evidence that this is impossible, or if it is simply fear disguised as truth. Often, you will find that these beliefs crumble under scrutiny, revealing that they were never factual barriers, but mental constructs that limited your choices. Replacing them with empowering beliefs is equally important. Affirmations, visualization, and deliberate practice are tools that reinforce a new narrative about yourself, one that emphasizes possibility, capability, and resilience. Letting go of limiting beliefs also means embracing discomfort and uncertainty. These beliefs often cling to familiarity, even when it restricts you. Growth requires stepping into situations where old habits no longer provide comfort, where results are uncertain, and where fear is present. The moment you act in spite of these fears, you weaken the grip of limiting beliefs. Every small success, every calculated risk, every time you choose action over hesitation, you reinforce the idea that your old mental boundaries were illusions. This is how freedom is cultivated, not through idle hope, but through deliberate action that proves your beliefs wrong. Another essential aspect is surrounding yourself with influences that challenge and elevate your thinking. People, books, and experiences can either reinforce your limitations or expand your vision. Seek out examples of those who have defied odds, succeeded despite obstacles, and rebuilt their lives from the ground up. Exposure to these realities provides evidence that change is possible and motivates the belief that you too can break free from constraints. Ultimately, letting go of limiting beliefs is the act of reclaiming your mind as your own. It is a refusal to allow fear, doubt, or past conditioning to dictate what you can achieve. Each belief release creates space for possibility, courage, and creativity. It is the mental clearing that makes rebuilding not only possible but sustainable. Until you let go of these internal barriers, external efforts, new jobs, relationships, or routines will only be partial solutions. The mind is the foundation of change, and freeing it from limiting beliefs is the cornerstone upon which the new version of yourself will be built. Rebuilding yourself is not a sudden act. It is a daily process, a series of choices repeated over time that compound into extraordinary results. Habits are the invisible architecture of life. They shape your thoughts, your actions, and ultimately your destiny. Many people underestimate the power of small, consistent habits because they are drawn to dramatic, overnight solutions or grand gestures. Yet the truth is that lasting transformation is rarely explosive. It is steady, incremental, and deliberate. Every day offers an opportunity to either reinforce the person you were or nurture the person you are becoming. Choosing habits that align with growth is the key to ensuring that each day contributes to the foundation of the life you want to build. The first step in adopting growth-oriented habits is clarity about your priorities. Without knowing where you want to go, any habit is arbitrary. What skills do you want to develop? What kind of health, relationships, or mindset do you aspire to? Once you define your destination, even loosely, you can reverse engineer the small daily actions that will guide you there. For example, if you aim to improve your physical health, habits such as drinking enough water, walking or exercising regularly, and sleeping consistently are not glamorous, but they form the bedrock of sustainable growth. If you want to cultivate wisdom or personal insight, reading, journaling, and reflecting on your experiences every day are the steps that will compound into knowledge over time. The key is consistency, because progress is the sum of repeated efforts rather than singular achievements. Habits for growth work on the principle of compound effect. Just as money invested steadily over time grows exponentially, the consistent actions you take each day amplify into significant results. A single hour of focused learning may seem inconsequential, but repeated daily over months or years, it transforms skill, confidence, and opportunity. Similarly, a daily practice of gratitude or mindfulness may seem subtle at first, but it reshapes perspective, emotional resilience, and the ability to navigate challenges. The beauty of daily habits is that they are both simple and powerful, accessible to anyone, and yet profoundly transformative when maintained with discipline. It is also important to recognize that habits are not solely about productivity or achievement, they are about alignment. Rebuilding yourself means aligning your daily routines with your desired identity. Ask yourself, who do I want to be? What actions would that version of me take every day? By modeling your habits after the person you aspire to become, you train not just your skills, but your character. The person who wishes to be confident, disciplined, and resilient must make decisions each day that reinforce those qualities. These choices become automatic over time, forming the behavioral DNA of the new self you are constructing. Consistency requires structure, and structure requires discipline. Many people falter not because they lack motivation, but because they lack a system to maintain focus over time. This is why creating rituals, small, repeatable actions tied to specific times or triggers, can make habits almost automatic. Whether it is starting the day with a moment of reflection, reading before bed, or setting aside time for deliberate practice, rituals remove reliance on willpower alone. They turn intentional action into default behavior, ensuring that growth does not depend on fleeting inspiration but on structured persistence. Another crucial aspect of habit building is patience. Transformation does not happen in a week or a month. It is the result of sustained, incremental progress. The person who seeks immediate results often becomes frustrated and abandons their efforts. By contrast, the individual committed to daily growth understands that change is a process and that visible results are merely the tip of an iceberg built beneath the surface over months and years of consistent effort. Each small act, repeated daily, creates momentum, reshapes identity, and cultivates resilience. Even habits that seem minor, like daily reflection, a short workout, or practicing a new skill for 15 minutes, become the threads that weave a new, stronger version of yourself. Finally, adopting daily habits for growth is also about feedback and adjustment. Life is dynamic, and so is your journey of self-rebuilding. Regularly assessing the impact of your habits allows you to refine and adapt, ensuring that your actions remain aligned with your evolving goals. Habits are not rigid chains, they are tools for intentional living, and the mindful practitioner knows when to adjust, replace, or enhance them for maximum impact. The act of consistently choosing habits for growth transforms the abstract idea of rebuilding into concrete, actionable steps. Each day becomes a building block, each routine a reinforcement of the person you are becoming, and each small decision an investment in your future. Through discipline, patience, and intentional repetition, the person you wish to become is slowly and inevitably revealed. The people and environments you allow into your life have more power over your growth than most of the books you read, the courses you take, or even the decisions you make. Human beings are inherently influenced by their surroundings. Our habits, thoughts, and behaviors are shaped by the culture, the relationships, and the energy we expose ourselves to daily. To rebuild yourself effectively, it is not enough to focus solely on your internal mindset or daily actions. You must also be intentional about the influences you permit into your life. The truth is that surrounding yourself with the right people, ideas, and environments can accelerate your growth, while negative or limiting influences can quietly erode your progress, even if you are disciplined and motivated. The first principle of influence is recognizing the subtle ways it manifests. It is rarely about dramatic sabotage or overt negativity. Often influence is quiet, almost invisible. A friend who constantly complains about life, coworker who undermines confidence, or even media that reinforces fear, doubt, or stagnation, all of these shape your mindset over time. Conversely, exposure to people who are disciplined, curious, and growth-oriented fosters similar qualities in you. Habits, attitudes, and beliefs are contagious, not in a literal sense, but through repetition, modeling, and emotional resonance. When you spend time with individuals who embody the traits you wish to cultivate, you begin to adopt those traits naturally. Influences are not limited to people. The books you read, the content you consume, and the environments you inhabit all feed your mind and soul. Consuming material that encourages learning, resilience, and reflection nurtures the foundation for growth. Environments that are organized, uplifting, and inspiring create mental and emotional space for focus, creativity, and ambition. Conversely, constant exposure to chaos, distraction, or negativity reinforces stress, doubt, and fear. Your surroundings shape your habits, your energy, and even the possibilities you can imagine for yourself. If you wish to become a stronger, wiser, and more capable person, you must intentionally curate what and who enters your inner world. Choosing the right influences also requires discernment and courage. It is not always easy to distance yourself from people or environments you are familiar with, even if they are holding you back. There may be guilt, fear, or social pressure to remain connected, but rebuilding yourself demands clarity about priorities. You must be willing to invest in relationships and communities that elevate you, even if it means letting go of long-standing connections that do not. This does not mean abandoning compassion or cutting off everyone who challenges you. It means choosing wisely where your energy flows and ensuring that the people around you contribute positively to your growth rather than detract from it. Positive influence is most effective when it challenges and inspires. Surround yourself with individuals who push you to think differently, to stretch beyond your comfort zone, and to act with integrity and discipline. These are people who model excellence not to boast, but to demonstrate what is possible. They raise the bar for what you believe you can achieve. They offer feedback, encouragement, and accountability that keeps you aligned with your goals. At the same time, they create an environment where you feel safe to experiment, fail, and learn. Growth thrives in such ecosystems because they combine challenge with support, motivation with reflection, and aspiration with practicality. The process of curating your influences is ongoing. Life is dynamic, and the people or environments that were once helpful may no longer serve your growth as you evolve. Regular reflection allows you to evaluate whether your current influences are elevating or diminishing your progress. You must be willing to make adjustments, seek out mentors, join communities that inspire learning, and even restructure your daily routines to prioritize exposure to constructive influence. This requires intentionality, but the rewards are profound because you are not leaving your growth to chance. You are actively shaping the inputs that feed your mind, your habits, and your character. Finally, surrounding yourself with the right influences is not just about receiving, it is also about contributing. Being around people who inspire you encourages you to elevate yourself in return, to model integrity, discipline, and curiosity. Influence is reciprocal when you cultivate your own strengths and embody the values you admire. You also become an influence that reinforces growth in others. This creates a cycle where positive energy, wisdom, and motivation circulate, amplifying the impact of each individual effort. Being deliberate about the people, ideas, and environments you expose yourself to transforms your ability to rebuild yourself. Every choice of influence acts like a nutrient for your mind, either strengthening or weakening the person you are becoming. The right influences challenge you, inspire you, hold you accountable, and remind you of the possibilities that exist beyond fear, doubt, and limitation. By curating these influences carefully, you create fertile ground for growth, ensuring that every thought, every habit, and every decision is supported by the ecosystem you intentionally cultivate. No journey of rebuilding yourself is without obstacles, challenges, and setbacks. Life has a way of testing determination, resilience, and character, often in ways that seem unfair or overwhelming. Yet it is precisely in these moments of difficulty that your capacity for growth is forged. Resilience is not something you are born with, it is cultivated, practiced, and strengthened through experience. It is the ability to face adversity, learn from it, and continue moving forward with renewed purpose. To rebuild yourself fully, you must learn to embrace setbacks not as failures or dead ends, but as essential components of growth, as signals that something must be learned, adapted, or strengthened. Setbacks are often accompanied by discomfort, frustration, and doubt. They challenge your confidence, test your patience, and can shake your belief in your ability to succeed. The natural human response is to resist, to avoid, or to blame circumstances or others. While these reactions are understandable, they do not contribute to rebuilding, they reinforce stagnation. Resilience begins with a conscious decision to confront challenges directly, to view them as opportunities rather than obstacles. Each setback carries a lesson, a hidden insight, or a chance to develop strength that cannot be gained in smooth or comfortable circumstances. By shifting your perception, you convert difficulties into stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks, allowing adversity to strengthen the very foundation of your character. Developing resilience also requires self-reflection. When setbacks occur, it is essential to pause, analyze, and ask critical questions. What went wrong? What could I have done differently? What can I learn from this experience? These questions are not meant to induce guilt or regret, but to provide clarity and guidance. They transform emotional reactions into practical insights, enabling you to adjust strategies, improve decision-making, and refine habits. Each challenge, examined carefully, becomes a teacher rather than a source of discouragement, and each lesson learned adds to your ability to navigate future obstacles with greater confidence and skill. Another aspect of resilience is emotional regulation. Setbacks often trigger strong emotions, anger, disappointment, fear, or sadness. While these feelings are natural, allowing them to dominate your actions can derail progress. Resilience is the ability to experience these emotions fully without being controlled by them, to acknowledge the discomfort while maintaining focus on long-term goals. Practices such as mindfulness, journaling, or reflection can help cultivate this capacity. By learning to respond to challenges with composure and clarity, you prevent temporary difficulties from dictating your trajectory and instead use them as catalysts for growth. Resilience also grows through persistence. The most resilient individuals understand that rebuilding is rarely linear. Progress often comes in fits and starts, with successes interspersed with setbacks. It is the commitment to continue despite obstacles, to rise after each fall, and to maintain momentum even when results seem distant, that defines the strength of character. Every time you choose to persist, you reinforce the belief that your efforts matter, that your vision is worth pursuing, and that temporary setbacks are not permanent roadblocks but part of a larger journey. Persistence transforms challenges into milestones, proving to yourself repeatedly that you are capable of more than you once believed. Support systems also play a crucial role in resilience. While resilience ultimately comes from within, the encouragement, guidance, and perspective of mentors, friends, or communities can provide strength during trying times. Surrounding yourself with people who inspire courage, offer constructive advice, and reinforce your belief in your potential can make setbacks more manageable and growth more attainable. At the same time, resilience requires personal accountability. You cannot outsource your response to adversity. Support is valuable, but the internal decision to rise, learn, and keep moving is always yours. Finally, embracing resilience through setbacks teaches one of the most important lessons in rebuilding. Growth is forged through challenge, not comfort. Every obstacle encountered, every failure endured, and every difficulty overcome adds layers of strength, wisdom, and perseverance. Those who rebuild themselves fully are not those who avoid pain or difficulty, but those who meet it head-on, extract lessons, and use it to propel themselves forward. They understand that resilience is not merely enduring adversity, but transforming it into fuel for growth, character development, and achievement. By embracing setbacks as essential components of the journey, you cultivate a mindset that sees challenges not as threats, but as invitations to rise higher, work smarter, and become the person you are truly capable of being. As we come to the end of this journey together, remember this: rebuilding yourself is not a one-time event. It is a lifelong commitment. It begins with self-awareness, seeing yourself honestly, and understanding where you are and where you want to go. It grows when you take full responsibility for your life, realizing that your choices, actions, and attitude are the tools you have to shape your future. It strengthens when you let go of limiting beliefs, replacing doubt and fear with courage, possibility, and confidence. It is nurtured through daily habits, the small, consistent actions that over time compound into extraordinary results. It flourishes when you surround yourself with the right influences, those who challenge you, inspire you, and lift you to higher ground. And it endures because of resilience, the ability to embrace setbacks, learn from them, and rise stronger each time life tests you. Rebuilding yourself is not easy, but nothing worth achieving ever is. The power to create the life you dream of has always been within you. All that remains is for you to take action, stay consistent, and never give up on the person you are capable of becoming. I wish you the courage to start today, the discipline to keep going, and the wisdom to embrace every step of this journey. Good luck on your path, and thank you for allowing me to share this message with you.